Hey everybody, it's Erin Rita and welcome to the Crafty YouTuber Hop. Woohoo! This is so much fun. You are in day 3 of this amazing hop, all to help try and support crafters that have YouTube channels of all sizes, of big, of small. Maybe you find a few extra people that you hadn't seen before, which is amazing. I love this. I am doing a white pearl modeling paste from Crafter's Workshop on a sheet of white paper with this beautiful lace stencil. So gorgeous. This is just one of the layers that we're going to be adding because it's mixed media day. What? It is so cool. Okay. So prizes, as I'm sitting here and adding my modeling paste onto my stencil, make sure you get a nice thin coat. You don't want to leave it too gloppy because then it doesn't create a beautiful stencil-y look. And make sure your stencil is nice and immovable. Using your hands is great. Okay, so prizes. Leave a comment. Any kind of comment is fine. And of course, I would love subscribers. I would love that. And hit that bell button. That would be fantastic so you can get notifications of new videos from me. And when you leave your comment, because there is a ton of prizes, there is inks from Catherine Pooler, there is gift cards from all kinds of people. Make sure you say if you are USA or if you are international, because some of the prizes are only for USA, but there's a ton that are international. And my channel is specifically giving away a gift card to the Renee foil paper, which we are using on this card. And heads up, here is a lovely card, which you can kind of see sneaking a peek up in the corner. We're going to make a version of just like this. That is so much fun, but I need to let this dry. So pop off your stencil once you feel like you've got a nice good coat everywhere on there. And I am doing a white on white. I want this to be a very subtle look and just kind of there, just very perfectly. First stage, before I do anything else, is I'm going to go run off and I'm going to clean my stencil and my palette knife here to make sure that it doesn't get all gross and crusted over. So I'm going to go wash that real fast. Okay, so now all my stuff is clean. I'm going to come in and I'm going to take my heat gun and I am going to crackle this. I want to give it texture. So if you apply heat before it dries, it'll bubble and warp and do all this beautiful stuff. I'm going to speed that through so you don't have to hear the noise again. And just look at that gorgeous texture. It's so pretty. Okay, I'm going to lift it off to the side while we finish working on some other parts of our card. All right, next stage we're going to do is I'm going to take, this is the gold Starstruck foil paper from Renea, which is what you get your gift card from. So make sure you do leave your comments on this video. I'm going to die cut 2 of these at the same time, and I'm going to speed that up 32. So just look how gorgeous those are when they're die cut. They're just so elegant and pretty. I love it. I have a white A2 size cardstock as a base, which is just folded in half. And then I'm going to take one that I have matted. And when I do this, I end up cutting down about 1/4 of an inch on one side and then the other, and it creates the perfect little mat. So I'm going to take the Lime Ricky ink from Catherine Pooler, and I'm going to ink the edge of this. Not super careful if it gets a little bit messy. It's a mixed media. So this is one way of adding a pop of color and making sure your color is consistent throughout the entire project. I am also going to come in right now, and I have this beautiful new stamp set I got from Alt New. This one is called Lyrical Script, and I pulled out the stamp that says, "May your days be filled with merry and bright." So I'm going to stamp this sheet of paper right here. And I'm just using a little round stamp block. Just makes my life easier. You want to pull out something bigger, go for it. Doesn't matter. And just come in and stamp. So why I'm picking an A2 size card, look how pretty, and I'm going to ink the edge of this while I tell you about it. I have a card swap. So I am doing a massive Christmas card swap right now. It is so much fun. Down in the information section where you can find all the link to the next person and also the supply list, I also have a link to my Facebook group. So if you are a card maker and you're interested in swapping Christmas cards, check out my Facebook group because it has a ton of fun. I'm going to lift this off to the side to let this part dry. And I'm going to come back to my stenciled piece that we did, and it is nice and dry now. And I'm going to take this with just a little bit of glimmer mist. I'm going to shake it to get some of the really cool, pretty colors. And I'm just going to add a few flicks. Nothing much, just a couple little flicks kind of in the corner. Just right in here, just to get a little bit of some color. Just a hint in the background. When you're doing mixed media and you're doing layers like this, the more fun kind of layers and little hints of stuff. So even though if they might get covered up, they just add to the whole beautifulness of the card. I'm also going to ink the edges of this just to add another layer of dimension to it. It's just that little pop of green that you see going. And if you guys can't tell, this is a Christmas card. One of the other reasons why I like to use layers is because if I screw this up, I'm not messing up my entire card. So I can redo this piece if something happens to it. From here, I'm going to do a vertical strip, and on this one I actually used a little section of burlap. I found this really pretty kind of a burlap trim, so I thought, yeah, let's use that instead. So I'm just going to rough cut it, and then I'm going to decide exactly where I want to trim it. And I usually don't go straight down the middle with my cards, but for this card, I kind of like this one being in the middle because my flowers, if you see, are going to be a little bit off to the left. So for this, when I glue this down, I'm going to add a little bit of a thicker glue. So something that's got a little bit more of a grab. This is an all-purpose universal glue from Super Tight. It has a great hold, and I put it in my little glue jar here. So I put it upside down in my glue jar. Therefore, the glue is ready. I don't have to wait for it to dry. I don't have to wait for it to do its thing. It's just, I pick it up and boom, it's ready to go. I also have these pretty little gems I have saved off in the corner. There is a little bit of a muss in the middle, but guess what? That's where the flowers are going to be. So I'm not worried about the fact that it's got a little bit of something funky on there because you're not going to see it. It's going to get covered up. So add my first layer. So one of the reasons why I love making mixed media cards is because sometimes those imperfections are what make the card so pretty. I love making clean and simple cards too, but if I make one tiny little smear out of place, the whole look of the card is like gone, and it frustrates me. So sometimes I lean towards the messier, grungy, shabby, chicy cards because you can make mistakes and it still looks awesome. All right, the next stage is we're going to take our swirls here and we're going to apply the swirls. Now, I think for this one, I'm going to go the other direction. This particular foil is the same color on both sides, but I'm going to off-center the swirl. So I'm going to have one going this way and I'm going to have one coming this way. And for that, I'm going to use a little bit of a different glue. This has got a little bit of a tackiness to it. It's a little bit thinner. This is a dual tip, and I love it's got a nice, easy tip. So I'm going to come in and add a little bit of glue to the sections of my swirls and then glue both of them down. Okay, now I went in my flower stash, and oh my god, my flower stash is huge. I cannot believe how big my flower stash is. And I found these super cute flowers, which you see right here. They're poinsettias. I had used a couple in the past, but I still had a few left over. So, you know, you just put a pair of flowers on there. A single one looks kind of funny, but a pair looks good. But underneath that, I'm adding another layer of dimension. So I found this twine that I have, and it's this pretty color green. So there's some varying colors of green on here. There's some green that we're going to add from the leaves. There's the green from the ink, and there's also the green from this twine. So it's a lot of very neutral colors happening except for that pop of red in the middle and that pop of green coming from just kind of like little hints of the flecks of the mist and stuff. For this card, I didn't do a ton of the swirls. This one I picked a much longer strand, so we're going to get a lot more swirls happening. And basically, right where those two die cuts intersect is where we're going to glue this down. And I'm going to go back to this glue because it's a little bit more stronger. That was really bad grammar. A little bit more stronger. Maybe you caught that horrible grammar of mine. And then I'm going to come in with my flowers. Now, whenever I do a pair of flowers, I like doing one small, oops, I'm moving everything around. Stop touching, stop touching. I'm going to do one large and one small. And I am going to decide, do I want to have, I did the large on the top and the small on the bottom. Let's flip it around this time. So I'm going to do the large, and I still have a lot of glue left, and small. I might come in with just a tad bit more right here, just to make sure it's not going anywhere. And then a little dab of glue on both sides of my leaves. I'm going to pop one in. I have spent eons of time fussing and meddling and twiddling and trying to get my cluster. You know what? It all looks great. Whatever you do with your clusters and your flowers, it will look amazing. And look at that, there it is. So gorgeous. So simple. It's a lot of layers, and that's what makes it kind of have all that beautifulness. Now, this definitely has to dry, but I can still attach it to my card. So I can come in with my tape runner now and apply my adhesive. I made the mistake with this card, and I flipped it this way, and I like this side up, and anyway, so make sure your card is opening the right direction. And go ahead and place that down. Super simple. Now you're probably wondering what that stamped piece is that we created earlier. Well, that's to go inside your card. Who says you can't put something inside your card? Have a beautifulness that you can put inside. Apply your adhesive. Stick it down. Center it. And it creates something kind of pretty for the inside of your card. And that's why I let that off to dry for a little bit instead of trying to do it right away and popping it in, because I didn't want to get the other side of my card all wet. And there we go. couple of beautiful mixed media cards, super simple with some fun layers. And you can change out the color of the card. This does not have to have a Christmassy vibe if you add a different color to the flower. So you could make the spring card, you can make this anything, but it definitely has kind of a Christmas feel because it looks like a poinsettia, and obviously with the red and the green. Thanks so much for stopping by. Don't forget to check out all the other amazing people in the hop. This is day 3. Don't forget to go back and check out day 1 and day 2, and there is more coming on day 4 and day 5 for some amazing YouTube crafty people. Please subscribe. I would love that. Hit that bell button so you can get new notifications from me. Supply links are down below, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye-bye.